And good morning, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma, and this is what I call my morning musings. Had to go in and get myself another cup of coffee. I've been hard at it since early this morning, and to be honest about it, I almost forgot to do the filming. Anyway, we're doing a study of Thessalonians, the eschatology of Thessalonians, and what we're doing is we are headed toward 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, but we're trying to set the context. As I've shared with you, the only way to properly determine the meaning of any given text is establish the context, establish the context, establish the context. Okay, so we're looking at the verses before 1 Thessalonians 4. We're looking at the passages after 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 to determine if there is a harmonious and a consistent theme, motif, and story, narrative, if you please, concerning eschatology. And so far, we have seen there is one narrative. Now, we've asked the question, is it possible that in the passages prior to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, Paul talked about something different from what he did in chapter 4? It's certainly possible. Is it possible that in 2 Thessalonians, he's writing about something different from what he wrote about in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4? Of course that's possible. But when we see the exact identical theme, the exact identical motif, the exact identical time frame for his discussion of eschatology, then guess what? We are demanded to see that 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 speaks about the same thing, and they speak about the same thing as 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. All right. Now then, I want you to imagine with me, you're sitting in worship service one Sunday morning, the preacher gets up, and you believe, just like everyone else in the congregation, you believe the day of the Lord is an earth-burning, time-ending, cosmos-destroying event in which the earth and the elements that are therein shall be completely burnt up. I mean, right down to the elemental atoms. And the preacher gets up and he says, fellas, ladies and gentlemen, brethren, I want to share something with you. The day of the Lord was yesterday. And you're going, what did he just say? And he said, that's right. I want to tell you the day of the Lord, the coming of the Lord in flaming fire, with his angels, with the dead. It happened yesterday. And you're sitting there and you're kind of glancing side to side at your brothers and sisters, and you're going, right, of course it did. And you kind of look out the window, and you see rocks and trees and cars and people, and you kind of pat the pew you're on, and you go, bless his heart, our preacher's completely lost it. Well, 2,000 years ago, Paul wrote to the Thessalonian church, as he wrote to the Ephesians through Timothy in 2 Timothy, and he said, don't let anyone convince you that the day of the Lord has already come. Now that's right. I understand if you have a King James translation, it's not that way, but I want to tell you, that's not a good translation. It's not an accurate, proper translation. Paul was writing to the Thessalonians saying, don't let anyone convince you that the day of the Lord, now that's the day of the Lord of 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, when the Lord Jesus shall be revealed from heaven in flaming fire, taking vengeance on those that do not know God. It's already happened, some were saying. Really? If you have the traditional view of the day of the Lord of 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, if you have the traditional concept of the day of the Lord of 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, I want you to ask yourself this question. How, in the name of reason and logic and sanity, could anyone convince you that had already happened? And you're going, well, nobody could. That's right. They couldn't. F.F. Bruce said, in commenting on 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, it is quite impossible to believe that anyone, including the Thessalonians, could believe that the events of 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 had already happened. But if it's the case that 1 Thessalonians 4 and 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 do in fact, as we have demonstrated, refer to the same event, then the Thessalonians did in fact believe it had already happened. Ask yourself, how is this possible? I wrote this book some years ago because as I sat in my own office and I saw the force of the language, it hit me like the proverbial ton of bricks. How could anybody convince you that earth had burned up yesterday? That the resurrection of the dead had occurred yesterday? That the entire cosmos had been burnt up yesterday? No one could convince you that that had happened, but some were convinced that the day of the Lord had happened. You need to order this book. Now, I've been making a very special offer on We Shall Meet Him in the Air, the Wedding of the King of Kings, and my book, In Flaming Fire. Well, now I'm going to, offer you another combo. We Shall Meet Him in the Air, the Wedding of the King of Kings, and How is This Possible? Now, you can, of course, order this book separately. I encourage you to do so if you can't order the both. But the combo here would be $38.95. However, if you will order the combo and mention that you saw the offer on YouTube and Facebook, send me, if you order them together, I will refund the amount that brings the total price to $26.50. You're going to save over $10. We Shall Meet Him in the Air. How is this possible? Folks, we have more to say on this book, and we have more to say on 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 that you absolutely do not want to miss. How in the world could anyone convince anyone that the day of the Lord had already happened? We'll see you on the flip side with some answers to that.